All right, so we're going to start with, we are going to do this in 2 seconds. We're going to review the two formulas. We had theoretical probability. What did that fraction look like? Yeah, favorable outcomes over the total outcomes. Okay, so then there was experimental. What do you want to look for to see if it's experimental probability? If they gave you numbers, what does it look like on your page usually? Like a chart. So if they gave you a chart, it's most likely experimental probability because that has been tested for you. So the formula or the fraction looked a little different. What word was in the top? Successes. All right, and then in the bottom were the number of trials. Okay, should the bottom number ever be smaller than the top number? No, because that's not going to work. All right, so we're going to work on number 1. So we're only grading in red pen, no pencils out. I'm repeating that for them, not you. The theoretical probability that it lands on tails. We did talk about this yesterday. We're going to slow it down for 2 seconds. How many options are there when you flip a coin? 2 of them. And our favorable outcome would be landing on tails, which would be 1 favorable outcome. That makes 50%. So that means the probability of landing on heads is also 50%. If the coin is flipped 140 times, how many times would you predict that the coin lands on heads? 70. How'd you find 70?
Divide by 2.
Yeah, so you can do one of 2 things. Since we just said that the probability of landing on heads is 50%, 50% is a half, you can either divide by 2 or you can go in your calculator and multiply by 0.5. It's the same thing as multiplying by half. You'd get 70 times. I have seen some ridiculous answers to this question. It says how many times. If I asked you how many times you went to the bathroom today, would you say 2/5?
No.
Like, that's not a thing. But I've seen it. I've seen very weird things. Okay? So make sure when it says how many times, you have a number answer. If I said, how many times did you score a touchdown this year? And you said 5%. What does that mean to me? You know what I mean? Doesn't helpful. So it's not helpful. So make sure it's a number. Number 4, Johnny flipped a coin 450 times. His results are below. So since this is a chart, we're going to do experimental. So what would our success be for this experimental? What are we looking for?
240.
Yeah, how many times will we land on heads, which is 240. Out of how many total trials? 450. So 240 out of 450 is 53.3%. I do want it rounded to the 10th like that. If it's not on your paper, just fix it to point to 0.3. So you're not marking things wrong or right now. You're just marking them with what I would like to be the answer. So the reason being, I don't want you to round down or round up. Because if you do, what should these 2 odds add up to? Flipping heads and flipping tails.
100.
They should add to 100%. If you round to 53%, the next one you would probably round to 58%. That would make 101%. So when you round like that, you're just going to have an answer that's off. So I just prefer the 10th, that's all. All right, and then we're going to go to rolling a dice. So did they roll a dice, or are they just asking theoretically if we roll a dice? Theoretically. So what did P stand for? The probability. And then 4 stands for rolling a 4. How many total options are there when you roll a dice? 6. And how many of those options say the number 4?
1.
One of them. So you're going to put 16.7%. So again, if you round it up to 17, you're missing a 3/10, and it could be weird later. All right, the probability of rolling a 3 or a 5. Out of 6 options, how many of them are 3 or 5? 2 of them, which is 1/3, which will make 33.3%. 7, the probability of rolling not a 2. Out of 6 options, how many of them are not 2?
5.
5 of them. So that would be, I don't remember, 83.3%.